You are listening to the People First podcast.
People First is a self-advocacy group run by people with learning disabilities, and People First podcast is a platform to raise awareness about real issues that affect people with learning disabilities in our community and all around the world.
We aim to inform and entertain our listeners by interviewing interesting guests and talking about the things that really matter to us. This is like having a stage to speak out and get our voices heard.
How did you get into wrestling?
So I got into wrestling as a kid. I always loved wrestling. Since I can remember, really. So around 6, it was just something that I was interested in, and I had the action figures and all that sort of stuff. So it's always been a bit of a lifelong passion for me. But then I got into wrestling, as in actually wrestling, through a magazine. I was reading a magazine one day, a wrestling magazine. It had an advert for a show in Wakefield, and the show had a little banner at the bottom that said they had an academy in Wakefield. And I went, well, I have a way of getting there. I had a part-time job at the time. I was 17, so I had no stresses in my life. I could just go out and do it. So I went along just to try it out, and then I went back the next week and the next week and the next week, and then 10 years later, here I am coaching wrestling and doing that side of stuff. So yeah, that is how I got into wrestling. I've just loved it all my life, and it was just through a lucky chance that I found a school that was in Wakefield.
What's been your favourite rivalry and least favourite rivalry?
Is that favourite rivalry that I've ever been in, or my favourite rivalry of all time ever? Because I've got answers for both of them.
Both of them?
For both of them?
Yeah.
Cool. So in terms of my favourite rivalry of all time that I've ever watched would have to be The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin that led into WrestleMania 17. That was like my prime childhood era of this is wrestling for me. The WrestleMania 17 video with them and Limp Bizkit, My Way, playing in the background is just the best. I can't fault it. I don't know if you haven't seen it, then definitely go and watch it. It's the best. It's unbelievable. So I would say that's my favourite one of all time. And then for me, in terms of my wrestling, there's a guy that I wrestled quite a lot called Joseph Connors, who's currently signed to WWE NXT UK. We had a long series of matches that involved all sorts of different people and stories and matches, and we finished off with a chain match, and we did that in Hull. So that was a fairly physical match, you could say. But yeah, that was probably my favourite one. In terms of least favourite, I probably don't have a least favourite one, just because I'm drawn to just wrestling that I enjoy. So if I don't particularly enjoy it, there's so much wrestling out there, so much wrestling that I'll just find something else. So I don't think I have an answer on the least favourite one. But yeah, most favourite would be The Rock and Austin, and then myself and Joe Connors. They're a personal one.
Yeah, I saw quite a few, you and Joseph Connors on British Wrestling Weekly and that, with the, I think it was Lily story, was it? Something like that?
Yes, Lilith, yes. So that is the Joseph Connors one, you're exactly right there. Yeah, so the whole story with that was that in NGW, I was a trainee and I was getting onto the shows, but I was losing. And for whatever reason, Joseph Connors sort of saw me as someone that he could take into his side and sort of mould as a person. So Lilith was sort of his manager almost. And she was involved in that story of like, she was there as a distraction, as something to take my eye off the ball and just basically be there to sort of manipulate with Joseph Connors. Which, you know, I would have liked to just wrestle Joe, but hey, sometimes they get managers involved and stuff like that. But in terms of the story, yes, it was fun. But yes, Lilith was there as a thorn in my side more than anything else.
What be your favourite venue or the wrestle in?
Favourite venue to wrestle in? Well, first off, I have to give a shout out to Victoria Hall in Keighley. Wrestled there a good number of times with NGW. So I've spent a fair bit of time in Keighley at that venue. So in terms of wrestling, not only was I a wrestler, but I was also setting everything up as well. So we had to put the ring up and we had to put the lighting rig up and all the entrance and stuff like that. It was very hands-on. So I spent a lot of hours in that venue, but I absolutely love the venue. I think it's got such a cool look to it. And the venue staff are all really nice and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'd have to give a big shout out to Victoria Hall as one that holds a special place in my heart. It's closed down now, but Richard Dunn Sports Centre, I got the chance to wrestle there just before it closed. And as a kid who went there and went on the Cobra and all that sort of stuff, like, it was just a really nice moment for me as like an adult to be like, hey, I did karate in a room that was back around there, and now I'm wrestling here. And then in terms of all time, I would probably say Hull City Hall holds a close place in my heart as just this lovely, beautiful venue that we turned green with lights just because that was the branding for the company. We had a good 1,000+ people in on a regular basis, and it was, again, it's just one of those places that I hold near and dear to my heart. So yeah, there's Victoria Hall, there's Richard Dunn's Sports Centre, and there's Hull City Hall.
When did you decide to set up your own training business?
Cool. So training people has always I'm also a personal trainer as well, and I got into personal training through wrestling. I've always loved trying to help people and watching people grow and develop. It's just something that I hold near and dear to my heart. So through wrestling, I got into the gym because I was a skinny 17-year-old kid and I needed to look like a professional wrestler. I wanted to look like The Rock. I was like, I'm going to look like The Rock. I don't look like The Rock. But that was the aim when I was 17. So I got into the gym, started working out and just sort of fell in love with it. So from there, I became a personal trainer and a professional wrestler. I had a bit of time away from professional wrestling just because I needed a bit of time away from it. And went full-time into personal training. And then at the beginning of last year, so the beginning of 2020, I was like, right, I'm going to come back into pro wrestling now. I've had a bit of time away. I'm going to come back into pro wrestling. And the world closed down, as we all know. But through that time, the school that was open in Leeds, there was a training school in Leeds, that had closed down purely because they were like, we can't keep this afloat and stuff like that. So one of the people that was there had bought a wrestling ring, and that school closed down. There was one in Sheffield that closed down as well at a similar time. And he just said to me, look, Liam, do you want to start running a wrestling school? And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. It's always been something that's been a passion of mine. It's always been something that I'd love to do. So we just sort of started building bit by bit by bit. And I would like to say now that Pursuit Pro Wrestling is probably one of the best training schools or best training facilities, sorry to use the correct term for it, one of the best training facilities within the country. So it's always been a passion of mine to do it, and I've finally got the opportunity to do it. Just through a couple of different circumstances, really. And as much as the whole pandemic has been a pain, really, it's actually born some really nice stuff out of it. And me having the chance to run a wrestling school has been one of those things.
How did you find the pandemic? How did you manage during the lockdowns?
I did okay. I was very fortunate in that as a personal trainer, I had to quickly adapt to going from being one-to-one with people to then going, I can't be one-to-one with people. How do I keep people moving? How do I keep helping people? So I probably had a month where I stopped. I had to stop. I played Assassin's Creed for a month just because I was like, I literally don't know what to do. And then from there, I was like, right, this is not going away anytime soon. So I had to refocus my energy, which then meant that I found a way of working with people online and started working through that. And I occupied my brain with that side out of it. I'm very fortunate in that I've got a loving girlfriend who we got on. I mean, we get on, obviously. We live together. But I think the lockdown and coping with that could be really hard if you're not with somebody that was supportive. And I'm very fortunate in that Ella is super supportive of me. And likewise, I'm super supportive of her. So I had just a really strong bond and connection that I had there, which I think is really important. If we have people that we can rely on and we have people that we trust and they trust us back, it can be a really good way of saying, hey, I'm not feeling too great at the moment. And she was there for me in the same way that she had times where she was like, I'm not feeling great at the moment. She got put onto furlough and she was like, what do I do with my time? And again, I was just there for her. So I was very fortunate that I had the chance to keep working with people, keep my mind occupied and just keep moving forward out of it. So I was very lucky in that scenario and I just had a very good support network around me as well. But I coped pretty all right with it. How did you guys cope with lockdown? How did you guys get on?
Well, it took a while, but it took a while to adapt to it, but once we adapted to it, we found that we moved along quite naturally.
Yeah, did all stuff on Zoom, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think like there was a lot of times where we were jumping on FaceTime or we were jumping on Zoom calls with people just to interact with people, and I think that was really helpful in that it opened up that way. But I definitely don't think there's any better thing than interacting in person. No. I say while we're sat on a Zoom call. But
what's the youngest that you can join the training?
So currently we operate at a 16 plus level in terms of at that point we're moving into an adult category. For me, that gets people to a point where the body's pretty much developed. We're still developing at 16, but it's pretty much developed. And also we understand pro wrestling, and there is a magic to pro wrestling that I think as people are younger, I don't want to dilute that magic. Now, that's not to say that I'm never going to do like kids classes or like a juniors class. It's just that I need to do it in a way that fulfills that correctly and runs on a syllabus like karate would do or something along those lines. So currently 16 plus out of that. There is a scope to do a younger class, but again, it's got to be done in exactly the right way, because I've seen it in the past where it's not been done in the right way and it's just sort of like, hey, we just turn up and we just mess around. And I just don't think that's good for keeping the magic of pro wrestling alive, and also for a developing body that needs time to grow and probably doesn't need to be slammed around day in, day out.
Have you got any rough idea when NGW shows will be back on the road?
So this is a conversation that I've had with the people that run NGW. Currently, at the moment, they're still in a bit of a flux position, just with everything that happened in lockdown and people trying to get back into venues. And there's been a couple of places where they've gone, we're going to start, and then the lockdown's been extended. So currently, NGW in terms of live shows isn't operating, but potentially next year they will be looking to get back onto a regular schedule. So who knows, that might mean that we end up back in Keighley again. But in saying that, there are shows that are popping up in Bradford, so I'm sure that wrestling in Keighley won't be too far out of the realm. In terms of NGW, at some point I would imagine, but don't hold me to that. But yeah, definitely next year there is scope for it to be back onto a live platform again.
Really?
Is wrestling very scary?
I suppose there is an element to it where it is, in a sense, when you first get started and you get taught, like, this is how you fall, and like you have to protect yourself when you're taking moves. Like, if you just go limp, then you get hurt. So you have to know, this is how I fall and this is how I protect myself. In the same way that in judo, when you get thrown, you have to know how to land. So with that, there's an element it's like, hey, just throw yourself down on this mat. And that's slightly scary. And I suppose there has been times where I've gone up to the top rope and I've tried something, or I'm going to try something, and there's that little bit of fear that comes into it. I suppose you get to a point where it just becomes the norm out of it. And now I don't even think about throwing myself down on the ground. And if anything, I'd just throw myself down on the floor and not think about it, which I definitely would not advise. You want to be in a wrestling ring to do that. There's also the fact of like adrenaline running. So when you're on a show, when you're out in front of a crowd, when you've got your wrestling attire on, when all the lights are on you, your adrenaline starts to run, and you start to feel like almost invincible. So you're never really scared at that point because you're just going, and then it's afterwards where you think, whoa, that hurt a little bit. There's been one show that I did where we ended up, we were fighting and brawling outside of the ring, and we ended up going outside of the building, and there was a big container that I would not advise doing this at all, but I jumped off the container onto the wrestler and some other people. And at the time I was like, just jump off this, no problem. And it was only afterwards that I went, that was a bit of a silly idea. So in wrestling, I don't get scared, but there's definitely been times where I have been scared in the past. I have a question for you guys, if it's all right. Who are your favourite wrestlers of all time?
Ooh, from NGW, I'd probably say definitely you, El Ligero, and Rampage Brown.
What a wrestler Rampage Brown is. One of the best in Europe, I would say, if not the world.
And WWE, probably Braun Strowman, Steve Austin, and The Rock.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that you guys like the big dudes that just throw people around.
Yeah. That's the thing, it's so realistic when you fall.
And if you injure yourself, though.
Hey, and it's physical as well. Like when we're getting thrown around and stuff like that, like you feel it. You feel the impact out of it. To describe a wrestling ring to you, it's some steel beams, some wooden boards, a bit of padding, and that's it. So it is physical. It's really physical. But yeah, and it's even more physical when there's a big dude that's picking you up and throwing you around.
Brilliant.
No problem at all. If you guys would like to come down to PPW at any point, I'm sure we can organise that to come down. Hey, I can get you on it. We've got a commentary desk, so I can get you guys on commentary if you want and commentate over a match. I'll do that for you. No problem at all. We can get that organised.
Sounds good. Brilliant. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for your time. It's been a wonderful experience.
No problem. Thank you very much, guys. Hopefully I'll see you guys in person at some point, because I would love to do that and sit and chat about wrestling. I'm sure we could talk for even longer.
Yeah.
I would. It would be a privilege to meet you in person. It really would.
Cheers, team. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye now.
We hope you enjoyed the interview with Liam, and we hope to take him up on his offer. The COVID-19 pandemic has got a lot of people thinking about their health and well-being, as well as getting vaccinated, washing your hands, social distancing and wearing a mask. The best way to protect yourself from any illness is to keep your immune system healthy. Here's our top 5 tips to keep your immune system fighting fit.
Number 1. Stay hydrated.
It is very important to drink plenty of water. An adult should be drinking at least 8 glasses of water a day, particularly during the summer months. Drinking plenty of water gives you more energy, helps you concentrate, and can stop you craving unhealthy foods.
Number 2. Get more sleep.
Not getting enough sleep not only affects your mood and energy levels, but we now know that it weakens your immune system, making you more likely to get ill. So turn off your phone and treat yourself to an early night. Your immune system will thank you.
Number 3. Get more vitamin D.
Our body makes vitamin D when we are exposed to sunshine and from certain foods. Vitamin D is essential for a healthy immune system, and sometimes we all struggle to get out and about outside, especially when the weather's bad. Vitamin D is a very cheap supplement to buy from a chemist, and eggs and oily fish are a great source of vitamin D.
Number 4. Eat plenty of fruit and veg.
We all know that it is important to eat fresh fruits and vegetables as much as we can. But did you know that red peppers, broccoli, chicken, yogurt and garlic can all help to boost your immune system? Ginger and lemon tea is also a delicious and easy way to help your immune system. You can buy ginger and lemon tea bags at your local supermarket.
Number 5. Get some exercise.
Now that the weather is nicer, try getting out and about a bit more. Exercise is great for your physical and mental health, and it also gives your immune system a big boost. Remember to take some water with you, and if it's very sunny, remember to put on some sun cream or a hat. That's our top 5 tips for staying fit and healthy this summer.
People First member Luke Damain is a king hiker, and he will soon be tackling Britain's highest peak, Ben Nevis. We wanted to talk to Luke about hiking and what he enjoys about it. Hi Luke, thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
I got a couple of questions for you, my mate.
That's fine, go ahead.
So Luke, can you tell us the difference between walking and hiking?
Hiking is different to just a walk through a park or a walk to shops because it involves a lot of rough ground and rocky paths and grassy paths and steps and up hills and down hills and it can involve muddy ground. For a blind person, it is ideal you wear sensible clothes and use a cane.
Why do you enjoy hiking so much?
I enjoy it so much because it keeps me fit and active and healthy, and it also gets me out in the fresh air a lot more and with people who are of a similar age to me and away from my mum and dad. And it also helps me build my confidence and skill and learn new things.
The next question is, can you tell us about hiking group that you're a member of?
I'm a member of the Bradford Take a Hike group, which is run by a charity called Choices for All, and it's run by a man called Adam Tasker at the Bradford University. The hikes are led by a hiker called Ian, and it is a mix of students and people from the community and the university.
What hikes have you been on so far?
We've done Snowdon, we've climbed Helvellyn, we've climbed Ingleborough, we've climbed Skiddaw, we've climbed Mount Tor in the Peak District, and we've done various other hikes.
Next question. How have you been training for your upcoming Ben Nevis hike?
We've done 4 training hikes since May, and it's been every week. There was also a small one on Shipley Glen.
Do you need any special equipment to go hiking?
I use a long white cane, and I wear hiking gear and hiking boots. I am also linked up to a sighted person.
Cool. Would you recommending walking is a good way to get some exercise?
Yes, it's a good way to keep up your mental health and well-being, physical well-being, and if you're stressed, it can help take that away.
Cool. What are good activities to walk in?
Swimming, cycling, running, going to the gym. If people can't walk very far, an alternative would be cycling or swimming.
Good luck on your hike. We
Thank you.
look forward to hearing how it went in part 2.
Thank you.
Have you ever wondered why walking can improve your mood? Well, here comes the science. Even moderate exercise can make your body release endorphins.
Endorphins are a hormone that act like your body's natural painkillers.
Endorphins reduce stress hormones, decrease discomfort, boost mood, reduce stress, and induce feelings of relaxation.
Regular exercise can also increase your cardiovascular and pulmonary fitness. That means heart and lung fitness. Exercise can reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke.
Just 20 minutes of moderate intensity exercise, such as walking, swimming, or cycling, has been found to be enough to provide your body with increased energy and a lifted mood for as much as 12 hours.
Exercise has been found to boost energy, help adults feel more confident and healthier, and it can even improve their ability to complete daily tasks.
These are all things that can help to lift mood and fight depressive symptoms.
Top 5 side effects of exercise. Number 1.
It increases your heart and lung health.
Number 2.
It lowers your chances of getting various diseases.
Number 3.
It helps you maintain a healthy weight.
Number 4. You can make it a social experience. Number 5. It can make you happy and improve your mood.
Hi Luke.
Hi Tom.
So, how was the trip to Ben Nevis?
Oh, the trip went really, really well, thank you. And we had really nice weather every day. And we had really good time, but it was very tiring.
I'll bet it was. How many miles roughly was the hike up Ben Nevis?
Well, up and down is 8.5 miles.
And what was the altitude for it?
The height is 4,411 feet.
How long were you hiking for?
It's about 17 hours, 16, 17 hours.
What? Surely not in one go.
No, we kept having breaks. We kept having little stops and starts going up and coming down. You know, there were rest places, and that counts up as well. We took food and drink up with us, so you have to put that in as well. So it's I felt exhausted after. Swollen legs.
You must have done quite a bit of it in dark then.
That very last bit was hard. Because it was in the dark. It was just coming dark, and it was set off in mist. That first bit going up was very foggy. So that felt strange.
Sounds like you had a good time though.
Oh, we did.
From what I read on Facebook and saw from the photos, you had a famous catchphrase. What was that?
Hammer down. It's always been hammer down. Or hammer it down.
So, where did that come from?
Oh, one of the students who comes, he says it. It's him who started it off.
Yeah, I were on bike ride with the same group. I think it was about 2 years ago.
I were there. They adapted.
Yeah, the Morecambe to Redcar.
Redcar. Everyone was there. And
Yeah.
That was a splendid trip. We had a barbecue, didn't we?
Yeah, last night.
Well, I tell you what, on the last night last week, we did the same.
Oh yeah? Bet that were good.
It was wonderful. It was a very good week. We went paddling we went to the river. We went to a part of the river where you can jump off rocks and paddle the day after we climbed Ben Nevis, and that was very, very relaxing after what we'd all done. It was a happy week, a very happy week. I wish you'd come, Tom.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time.
It was an absolute privilege. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this podcast with Liam. And we hope to take him up on his offer soon. Please like and share.